defend myself? It's a question that I get a lot from students and of course from people that I meet every day or maybe even read on an internet forum somewhere. People wonder what the law says about whether or not they can use a firearm to defend themselves or their families. Now, I'm not saying that's not an important question. 6 months ahead of time, 6 minutes ahead of time, 6 days ahead of time, you absolutely need to know what the laws are in your jurisdiction. You need to know what the laws are about owning firearms. You need to know what the laws are about having firearms inside of your home for home defense and, of course, for carrying firearms in public for the defense of yourself or your family. But in the moment, in the actual moment of a home invasion, in the moment of an ambush, when you're faced with a lethal threat and you have the means to defend yourself, you have that firearm, you have the means to defend your family inside of your home, the question isn't can you or could you use lethal force? It's always going to be should you use lethal force? If you're in a situation where you have someone coming into your home with a lethal weapon, an axe, a club, a gun, a knife, they mean to hurt you or your family and you can see that they have the opportunity to do it, you absolutely should defend yourself and your family inside of that home. On the other hand, if you have someone who's pounding on your door with that same axe and you have your family together inside the living room and you can make your way to an alternative exit and you can just look outside and see that the coast is clear, you can run out, probably with your cell phone in hand, calling the police and escape, you absolutely should run out that back door and stay away. Now let me give you a specific example. If I'm sitting here on the couch and I hear someone for 5 minutes trying to break my door down, I pull my firearm out, I sit here in the ready position, get on the phone with the sheriff's office and say, hey, there's someone trying to break into my home. I'm afraid they're going to try to kill me. I have a firearm and I will use it to defend myself and my family if I need to. And 4.5 minutes later, the guy bursts through the door, comes around the corner, I drop the phone, extend out and take the shot. That's probably legal in a lot of places. It's probably legal right here in this exact spot. But if I could have left this area, gone behind 2 more doors, gotten on the phone and made that same call, I think that's a smarter choice. Now, I'm absolutely not advocating for a restriction of our rights to defend ourselves, nor am I saying that we should change the laws to say you must try to escape or you must try to get away if you can. What I am saying is that you absolutely should. If you can avoid using a firearm to hurt someone else, if you can avoid needing to put yourself and your family and your neighborhood, your community through that trauma, if you can avoid the risk of prosecution, if you can avoid the risk of civil suit and all of the things that go with that, you absolutely should. So the question of whether or not you can use a firearm for self-defense is one that you should research and should absolutely be aware of. The question of what you do at the exact moment that you have the opportunity to protect your family with a firearm is a much different question. Understanding the difference between should and could is an important part of being a responsibly armed firearms owner. At your home, the laws may be very different than they are at your workplace. In the place that you live and work, the laws may be very different than another family member's home when you're visiting, or at a hotel room when you're traveling in another state. Understanding whether or not you can have the firearm available to you is a big picture legal issue. Understanding what to do at the moment you absolutely need to defend yourself is much more personal and much more specific to your situation. Now, I'm not going to second guess someone who says they needed to defend themselves and they used the firearm to do so. But if you're standing just inside the entryway of your home, waiting for someone who obviously could hurt you or your family to burst through the door so that you can use your firearm, when you could have been in another room behind another door or 2 that was closed, on the phone with the police, barricaded in a safer position, that is absolutely what I think you should do. It's what I think your responsibility to do is, and ultimately, if you're in that situation and you are forced to defend yourself or your family, it's going to be much more obvious to anyone who investigates the situation that you did everything you could to avoid using lethal force.
Trigger Time is brought to you by Crossbreed Holsters, Drago Gear, DS Arms, First Spear, Keltec, PNW Arms, Thunder Beast, Saber Red, Century Solutions, Delta Outdoorsman, Sport Optics, Fox Knives USA, 511 Tactical, and WW Gun.